which is another story that we're going to be talking about today. A really funny one, at least. One that came about because of James O'Keefe. Former Republican operative hatchet man James O'Keefe has been going rogue and doing his own thing, and we are going to start off there. So James O'Keefe put out a video today showing a Department of Justice official saying any Republican should be edited out of the Epstein files. The Department of Justice tried to rebuff James O'Keefe with an email from the same official, but it only confirms that James O'Keefe actually caught him on tape. Normally, when I see something coming from Project Veritas, James O'Keefe's operation, or James O'Keefe directly, I immediately assume it's misinterpreted, it's edited, it's totally made up. Why do I assume that? Because James O'Keefe is not a real journalist, but he is a misinformation specialist. He will go, he'll have like a secret camera recording, he will get people liquored up. You know, he operates like the intelligence community would operate. Like he'll do a honeypot sting operation where he'll just like go in and he'll have like a lady talk to some fucking dumbass that works in an advocacy org, or like some guy who works for the State Department or something. And then that guy will just like leak. He'll get liquored up and say a bunch of shit that is not sincere, for example. And then they will cut that down. They'll chop it up, and they'll blast it in the orbit, and then the Republicans will go along with it. Having said that, however, it's often important to see how people react to that sort of thing, right? He is an agent provocateur, for sure. He's Mr. Clipper and Shipper, for those of you who don't know. He's done a lot. He's done a lot of crazy stuff. And what's important in this is whether or not there is accuracy in the reporting. And sometimes he might arrive at like some semblance of the truth, but the outcome here has been quite funny because the U.S. Department of Justice responded to James O'Keefe. Here's the James O'Keefe video. It's 8 minutes long. Breaking: DOJ Deputy Chief admits government will redact every Republican while leaving all the liberal Democratic people on the Epstein client list. Says Ghislaine Maxwell was moved to a lower security prison as a benefit to keep her mouth shut. Maxwell, got transferred to a minimum security prison. It's against BOP policy because she is a convicted sex offender. I think this is him basically trying his very best to attack the Republicans as well, because he feels slighted because they cut his funding recently. They tried to like forcibly kick him off of Project Veritas and stuff because he was mismanaging the funds over there to, do his Broadway musicals and fly all of the employees to go watch him do a rendition of Oklahoma. That's real. That's a real thing that he did. But seemingly he's back at Project Veritas. I don't really fully understand what's going on here. No, he says to watch the truth inside of Veritas. Oh, so I guess he's attacking Veritas as well. But he's a Republican operative, okay?
For the Department of Justice.
Okay.
Been there like 23 years. I'm an analyst. I'll be acting deputy chief of our office for a few months starting next week. I work closely with
You have to remember, okay, when these guys chirp, when these guys like get liquored up or go on a date with a lady who has a hidden camera, you can't take everything that they're saying sincerely, okay? And it's only because it's James O'Keefe. If it was anybody else who I actually respected or trusted, I would say that there is more. Everything in my heart and soul wants me to believe this, okay, completely. And there might be some veracity to the statements being made here. But like if there wasn't this idiotic response from the U.S. Department of Justice, I probably would be more inclined to assume that this is, chopped up, edited, made up. Recording someone secretly on a date is crazy shit. No. This is classic James O'Keefe stuff.
Recently, the FBI and DOJ have come under fire for promising transparency, then refusing to release footage and unredacted documents, going directly against the public's expectations and the promises made by Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel. In a DOJ press release, Attorney General Pam Bondi stated, quote, "This Department of Justice is following through on President Trump's commitment to transparency and lifting the veil on the disgusting actions of Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirators," unquote, and also claimed they were shedding light on Epstein's extensive network, only to later claim that Epstein was acting alone, and that the only video evidence they had was of Epstein's personal child porn collection.
Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child.
Yeah, I mean, you know this part of the story already. Yes, the Trump administration went back and forth on transparency, revealing all the information about a potential Epstein client list. And then Donald Trump got cold feet when he realized that he's all over the Epstein client list himself. He's mentioned all over the investigation because he was very good friends and very well connected with Jeffrey Epstein for quite a while. We don't know the extent of their relationship, especially post Jeffrey Epstein's ouster as a convicted sex trafficker of minors. But Trump's recent actions in the aftermath, Trump's recent actions with demands coming from his own base of support alongside many other Americans to offer transparency on the Epstein client list and see how many of our societal elites were financially entangled with this pedophile sex trafficker and what foreign nations might have played a formative role in developing this blackmail operation. The Trump administration has seemingly gotten cold feet and is trying to cast a cloud of dispersal to the best of their ability over the situation, actively trying to move people's attention away from the Epstein stuff to like Barack Obama, things of that nature. And James O'Keefe, who was recently pushed away from Project Veritas, which is his own personal operation for mismanaging the funds and, getting people to getting his own employees to go and watch him do a rendition of Oklahoma, the Broadway musical, is now also taking that fight as an independent hatchet man to the Trump administration and the Department of Justice under the control of Donald Trump. These guys have a lot of a lot of interesting methods, let's just say, but more often than not, their videos are very deceptively edited. Their methods of extracting information out of people are also, oftentimes deeply unethical. And not only are they deeply unethical, but it doesn't give you a full, accurate picture. Having said that, the Department of Justice's response to this situation has been quite funny because Joseph Smith, acting deputy chief, Office of Enforcement Operations at the Department of Justice, is on a hinge date here with a lady working for James O'Keefe who has a hidden camera on herself. And this guy is just chirping. He is just yapping about. Joseph, not Smith, Schnitt. Do you think the stuff with Epstein will actually get released or not at all?
Not at all. Yeah, but
If it does, it'll be heavily redacted and his name won't be in it.
those files do exist.
There's files.
Yeah.
For sure. There's thousands and thousands of pages of files. But again, if they're released in any way, it's going to be very redacted. They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal Democratic people in those files, and have a very slanted version of it come out where it's look at what he's doing without releasing any of their bad behavior.
This is James O'Keefe. You know me for exposing the truth.
Then there's a bunch of gold bars that he's selling in between. You already know that's just how it goes. Okay. So basically, in spite of James O'Keefe's significant lack of credibility, at least from my perspective as someone who cares about investigative reporting and making sure that all this reporting is accurate and has goes through a internal fact-checking process, which is precisely the reason why I, for example, defended both Taylor Lorenz's journalism and also Wired Magazine's credibility as someone who tries to instill media literacy in a lot of people and try to analyze the media critically and explain to you where the biases are coming from. James O'Keefe obviously doesn't fit that standard in any way, shape, or form. But having said that, this has been very funny because the acting director, Pollock, released a Notes app apology response to James O'Keefe's deputy chief admission. And it's a Notes app apology with a phone that's on airplane mode with 30% battery. They even put that in the screenshot, which is hilarious. Actor director Pollock, I met a woman named Skylar on Hinge, a dating app, in July 2025. Her profile is no longer findable. We had 2 days, August 4th and August 16th. She claimed to be an au pair in Georgetown. She gave no clues that she was a reporter or recording our dates. Had I a clue, the first date would have ended immediately and there never would have been a second one. My profile indicated I did government work, but did not specify for which agency. I never discussed what I do at the DOJ. The comments I made were my own personal comments on what I've learned in the media and not from anything I've done at or learned via work. I have no knowledge of the circumstances surrounding Ms. Maxwell other than what is reported in the news. I also never divulged anything about what I do at work. I recall that she asked if I had any knowledge about Maxwell, and I specifically said, I only know what's been reported in the media. Awesome. As much as I want to believe the James O'Keefe side of this, and I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, I do think that this was a dude who was probably just trying to get pussy and literally was just like yapping either about like shit that he doesn't know, or yapping about things that, you know, he might be privy to a certain degree, but like greatly exaggerating. This is not a defense of the Department of Justice. Do I believe that the Department of Justice is actively tampering with the Epstein stuff and stopping people from revealing more details about the financial entanglements that Jeffrey Epstein had with high-profile American finance elite? Absolutely. Do I believe that the DOJ is actively working to either move away from the Epstein conversation or potentially even erase some of the Trump involvement in this process? Absolutely. Do I think that this guy has any serious knowledge over any of that stuff? I don't think so. But it is pretty funny. One of the things that he said was not something that he saw in the news. If you recall, he talked about how the Attorney General is just a yes man for Donald Trump. She just says yes to whatever Trump's demands are. That part is both confirmed from the media reports, but also probably something that he's privy to as an insider. But as I've said before, I don't think this is going to lead to any serious revelations about Republican involvement in the Epstein client list, but it won't lead to serious revelations about Democrat involvement either, regardless of the amount of pressure that is being launched against the administration. Very funny story overall.